Welcome to the Scaling Creative Podcast. Today's topic is LinkedIn, and you might notice it's just the two of us.
We're so sad. We're so lonely here by ourselves.
We are. It feels kind of weird.
I know.
But
we lost half our wisdom.
Yes, we did.
Now, but the reason this is a little different is because we're going to talk all about LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is a platform that we'll get into this, but I think it's not a platform that you should expect everyone to hang out on all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think, especially from an organizational standpoint, you probably really shouldn't expect that like your everyday employees are going to spend their time on it unless they're kind of in the sales side of B2B, which is what we're going to talk about. It's phenomenal for that, but figured it would be kind of pointless to have everybody sit here when half of the people don't spend a lot of their time on LinkedIn. So we figured we'd just change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing.
And if I'm totally honest, I don't spend a ton of time on LinkedIn. In fact, really the only reason that I'm on is because you made me. Actually, I did have an account, but I didn't even put anything on it. So I really wasn't on it. But yeah, so as I was researching for this podcast, I thought it would be kind of cool to dive into learning about who started LinkedIn, why it was started. And do you know much about like the story at all?
Not the initial story. I mean, I know it's obviously taken off a lot the last couple of years. And Microsoft purchased it 2017, so it's I know it's a great platform, but it's one of those kind of hidden.
It really is
stories. I think it's just because the people that are on LinkedIn for the most part, I don't think really care. Like, because Mark Zuckerberg and the social network story made that all exciting, like the whole concept behind it. But LinkedIn's story was not like that. It wasn't this random kid who started in Harvard and made it this huge thing.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't really.
Yeah. So Reid Hoffman started LinkedIn in late 2002. And it's a social networking site for professionals, for businesses. Its 41 million members include people from more than 200 countries and executives from every Fortune 500 company. So that was really cool. So in just 6 years, LinkedIn grew to 350 employees and is now a brand recognized like throughout corporate America. It's been profitable since 2006. And I just loved the story of Reid's journey that I read. I read it on money.cnn.com. And I just find it so interesting, the story, like the background of people who start things. So originally, he actually started a company called SocialNet. And it was kind of like an online dating thing. And they also did, if you want to find somebody to golf with, you can find someone to golf with on there. But it did not go well. And he thought it was going to. They had a lot of really great investors, but it didn't go well. So he ended up working with just a little company, PayPal. And then when that was bought by eBay, I guess he took a lot of that profit, that money, and he essentially financially financed the beginning of LinkedIn. And so it's a really unique platform among social media because it has a very specific user base.
Yeah, and I wouldn't consider it social media, honestly. I think that's the biggest thing. No, because even though it's a social thing, I feel like social media, like I don't consider LinkedIn social media. I consider LinkedIn like just a different type of environment. Okay. Just because of the way like that I am when I'm in there and my thought process behind it. So even though it's probably considered that, it's like YouTube. You don't really consider. I don't consider YouTube social media, even though it is. I mean, people kind of just think social media is anything that has like interaction back and forth. So it kind of is. Right. But like when you think social media, you think Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah. So it's a little different to me in that, and that's also why I think a lot of people don't really know how to use it either. Right. Because it is very different. It's an entirely different type of place.
Yes. Yeah,
that's the big thing about it.
I looked up some statistics, and you had told me about Hootsuite has a great one, and they had an article on there that was very interesting. So just some of the statistics that I saw is that 2 professionals join LinkedIn every second, which is a very impressive rate. And when I was looking at their graph of users, I mean, it consistently goes like this.
And it's about to go crazy.
Do you think?
Yes. Okay. It's going to go insane because people are finally starting to realize how incredibly effective it is. Yeah. And we'll talk about why.
Okay. So it went from 467 million users in Q3 2016 to 590 million by the end of 2018. So that's 123 million users in 2 years, which is.
And I bet over the next 2 years, it'll double what it currently is in the workplace, because I think people are starting to realize just the unique advantages it has.
Okay.
The biggest one right away, like just get this out there. You see a person's face next to their title of what they do and who they work for. Mm-hmm. Like you have every business card in the world
right there
at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Like people forget to change things in Facebook, like statuses and job title. They sometimes forget that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. LinkedIn, like that is your identity. Mm-hmm. So, and because that's why it exists, I think that's why it's so incredibly powerful, because you get to see who does what. Search for people that do that, and then run ads against people that do it. Like, so you're not even guessing what they do.
Right.
And from a business perspective, there's not a better way to actually go about someone than to know exactly what they do, who they even worked for, to give you context. Like you see everything. You see their digital business card in front of your face for free.
That's a good.
It's amazing.
It's almost what's that old thing? Rolodex, is that what it was called?
What?
You know, like back in the day where they had the like almost business cards and you could like roll it. I think it was called a Rolodex.
Like you lived in that time. Like it's in.
I think I saw it once on Mad Men.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
You really have no clue what you're actually talking about, because none of us are old enough to understand that.
But anyway,
that side of
I like the analogy of it's kind of like a whole bunch of business cards.
Yeah.
But just more alive.
Yeah.
And more easily accessible, because who actually remembers to keep business cards?
No,
I mean, like nobody.
Yeah, and it's just a great way. Like if you went to a networking event and you knew like you were going to get the contact information of every single person there and where they worked, you'd be like, great, that's a good ROI on me attending that event. Well, you get that for free if you actually want to do it. But there's ways that you have to learn of how to actually turn it into business, which is the thing I think people are terrible at.
All right. Well, we'll definitely get to that for sure. Just a couple other statistics. So 50% of Americans that have a college degree use LinkedIn. 45% of LinkedIn users are in upper management. So directors, vice presidents, all
Makes
that
total
stuff.
sense.
3 million American jobs are posted on LinkedIn every month. So it's a really useful tool for, recruiting. Or if you're looking for a job, it's a great place to be. There's 2 million posts.
Oh, before you jump into that, here's why that's so cool. The why LinkedIn Jobs is so amazing. LinkedIn Jobs has a secret thing that you can tell LinkedIn. You don't want to put your resume out there per se, but you're always open to opportunities for people to look for. So if I want to if I'm looking for a video editor, I can, essentially it's like a soft lead that someone's not openly at all saying they're looking, because a lot of people don't want to put that out, but they want to tell people they're available for it.
Right.
And I can say, here's the people I want to look at, just people that have said that they're not close, because you can tell LinkedIn, like, I'm not interested in any job offers. Or you can say, I'm always available to talk. That's great from a perspective of actually recruitment.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that, because we probably won't get back to that side of it. It's great for It's great for jobs. You get to see what people have done, where they worked. You get to see their whole resume immediately, and you can put their resume on it, which is a big thing for some people.
Right. 94% of B2B marketers on social media use LinkedIn to publish content. And then a couple things I found really interesting. Posts with images get twice as many comments. Obvious. But video posts are 5 times more likely to get comments. So video posts also earn 3 times the engagement of text-only posts, which, I mean,
that's the case in any social media.
It's very true. Yes. It's very true.
But in LinkedIn even more, because of the fact that just so few people are using it in that way.
Yes.
People are finally starting to. But
And then just a couple of last things that I saw in there. 50% of B2B website or web traffic originated from social media comes from LinkedIn. 80% of B2B leads generated on social media come from LinkedIn, and InMail has a 300% higher response rate than email. I thought that was
so. A lot of people are not even going to have a clue what InMail is.
Okay,
but as part of a premium business subscription, you get what are called InMails, where InMails, you can obviously send a message unless someone blocks it off. You can send a message to anybody on LinkedIn and just send a message. Most people do it terribly and they say, I have a business, whatever.
Yeah.
InMail, you get 15 InMail messages a month as part of a premium subscription.
Okay.
An InMail message makes sure the person sees it. Meaning if tomorrow I send Gary V InMail, he will see it. Now, he'll get a lot of InMails, but they put them at the top of your inbox with a badge, with a subject, and with it's not like it may get seen. It will get seen. So that's why they also limit it. And that's why you also only get that with a paid subscription to LinkedIn. That's one of like the premium benefits. I don't think that's that worth the benefit, but for some people, it could be because you get 15 messages that they roll over. So like I'm up to 50 some or whatever, depending on how many you use, but that's what it is. And a lot of people probably don't even know what that is because if you don't have a premium subscription, you probably have never even seen that. But InMail is very effective just because of that reason. It's like a way to say, hey, we'll give you 15 guarantees to people you want to talk with. Whether it gets you something doesn't really matter.
Gotcha.
It's more that you get in their inbox, so it can be pretty powerful.
Do you think everyone should have a premium account?
I don't know. I mean, it really depends how you approach LinkedIn. I mean, I think part of it is literally just like brand. It's you get a gold badge next to your name. Sometimes that actually matters to some people. I think that there are definitely values of it from an insight perspective. They give you a lot of detail of I can look at what company is looking at my profile the most. So if I'm going after a certain company and I'm connected with a lot of people and I start to put out content and then realize that 6 of their employees saw my content, I now know I have a little bit of an in. Okay. There's tricky ways to use that. And just analytics in general. They give you a lot of just back-end analytics to get a feel for who has looked at your profile. I mean, so obviously in Instagram or Facebook or any other social, you can't see who actually looked at it unless someone likes it or comments on it. Being able to actually get the information of just who's looking at you is kind of the same as being able to look outside and say, like, who has checked out my business before? Who has, and I think that can be really valuable. That's why it's so valuable for B2B because it really gives you a chance to actually just produce tons of content and be like, okay, Starbucks employees are looking at my content a ton. Now, if I'm trying to sell something to Starbucks and I run ads against people who work at Starbucks, but I already know I have somewhat of an in because a huge amount of their employees are looking at it, that's really valuable insight. Okay. So I think it's $60 a month. So I don't think it's necessarily cheap. I think it's kind of expensive. I think they really do it to weed out people. If they made it $10 a month, more people would do it. They make it $700 a year so that I think that they have a limited, there's very few people you see with badges of like premium. So whether it's worth it or not, who knows? I think it's been pretty good.
Would it be more worth it for someone who's like a personal brand or a company?
I think it's worth it no matter what if you actually are serious about LinkedIn. That's what it comes down to. There's absolutely benefits to having it if you're ready to like take LinkedIn seriously. I think that if you hop on tomorrow, getting a premium subscription doesn't do you anything because you don't even know yet how to use the platform. So the analytics don't do any good for you. But I do think it's worth it if you actually are in it and you want to use it. Everyone I know that is crushing it on LinkedIn, they're premium. And they're not crushing it because of that, but meaning there's definitely reasons for them. For sure.
Yeah. Okay. So what, and we sort of went over this a little bit, but what makes LinkedIn unique?
I mean, I think the obvious is just that, like I said, you get to see where people work, what they do, and that is invaluable information. I can't go on a website of a large company, Starbucks, for example, and go to a page that says like who works here and what are their job titles. I can't. Like you can learn information about the owner or whatever. I can go on LinkedIn and go to Starbucks page and click a button that says see employees of Starbucks and see everyone. Yeah. And if I want to reach the person that is in charge of marketing, their title is going to say marketing director at Starbucks or whatever their title is. But I'm getting this information for free. Oh, that's another premium thing. That's important to note. Okay. You can only search. You only get so much search options when you're not premium. So you can't always search all aspects of
that's
like
something
a company.
You can do.
Yes. Okay. And that is, I guess, would probably be a pretty big thing. Is I think you can only search, I could be wrong on this, but you can only search maybe like second or third connections or whatever. In LinkedIn, you'll see there's something called first connections, second connections, and third. First means you're actually connected with them. Second means like you're connected with somebody who also is, meaning there's maybe. Because you'll start to see things in your newsfeed that are like not actually people you're connected with, because they're trying to like.
I've noticed that.
They're trying to, now what that's doing is saying like one of your first connections probably interacted with that person in that comment, so they're thinking you may be interested. That's what those first, second, and third things are.
Okay.
But I think there is and I could be wrong, but I think there's some sort of limitation of what you can search in terms of outside of your network without a premium account. They give you like additional perks. So yeah, I think that's what makes it so unique, is that you're getting to see just what people do. And that really is an incredibly powerful tool if you know how to use it, because you're getting to see stuff that no other social network really shows you.
Okay.
And that in itself is a huge reason. But then the fact that most people are on LinkedIn also in the same business mindset, meaning they're already somewhat talking business like in their head when they're on there. Most people don't go on there, except for the rare occasions of people that like that is the only platform they spend time on, which is rare. But other than that, most people go on that with more of a business mindset. Now, that's also why 99% of people do it terribly, and they send you messages saying like, I have a paint company, would love to offer you paint services. Terrible method. We'll go into the methods.
I was just going to ask you, like, what would be some of the, like, how do you show up differently on the platform than others, or just some different tips as to what methods to use when you're on there?
I mean, I think people have to think of LinkedIn of what would you actually do in person if you were trying to get in touch with people that you wanted to work
at
for.
a networking event?
So let's say you went to a networking event. Okay. Would you go in a networking event and go up to every single person there and say, hi, my name is Scott. I have a video production company. Would love to do video for you. Call me sometime.
Yeah, no.
No.
Yeah.
Like everyone would be like, dude, calm down. Like I don't even know you. But that's what everyone does on LinkedIn. Everyone that connects with me, most people, I get a message, an automated response of, I have a business accounting service. We'd love to talk to your company. Like, get out of here.
You know that they sent it to everyone.
Of course.
So it almost has that like yucky feel.
Of course.
To it.
And no one likes it. But that's what everyone does. You wouldn't do that in person. You wouldn't, like, you would never think about that. You'd go up and you try to just hear what they're talking about. You'd just jump in the conversation. And then you'd, maybe by the end, you'd start to talk a little bit more about what you do, but you're kind of just starting to make friends with people. They're talking about, like, the sports game this week, and you're like, yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I'm a huge fan. Did you see the guy? I cannot believe we traded for that guy. And like, yeah, cool. Yeah. You start to mingle. And then suddenly, you're now on the radar of, like, that was a nice guy. And then the next time they see you at some other event, they're like, hey, good to see you again. Hey, how about them flyers? And like, oh, awesome. Yeah, cool. This guy, I really, really like this guy. Then eventually, over the course of them interacting and you interacting back and forth, they're eventually like, what did you say you do again? Oh, I have a video production company. That's really cool. You know, we've been thinking about doing video. It would make sense. Like, should we chat? Yeah. Bam. That's effective networking. And nobody does that. And the reason nobody does that is because people are lazy and they don't want to put in the work to do it.
I was just going to say, that's a long game.
It's easy, yes, and people hate it.
Yeah.
But it's so effective.
Yeah.
It's the best, no question about it, the best personal branding place in the world. You build personal brand on LinkedIn in an unbelievable way. So, and the whole thing is, all those things I just said are incredibly easy to do. You just have to have patience to do it. But it's incredibly easy to just not sell to people. Like, it is so easy for me to go on LinkedIn and spend 20 minutes, go to my feed, and look at every single thing people are talking about and not sell and just interact in some way. If they post some picture of their kid and they say, I love weekends, and I comment, yes, embrace that time, like whatever. And I'm just a normal person. I go to the next, I do the same, I do the same, I do the same. That's not hard. That's being a person.
I was just going to say, it's being a
human being. But people
don't
like being a human being in sales. When that's ultimately the best way to get sales.
Right.
So then if you take it the next layer of not only doing that, because that's the first layer of like, that should be a no-brainer. Just interact with people, be friendly. Connect with everybody that you want to. Like I say, connect with every single person in the world, because, well, depending on what field you're in, maybe not, but to a point, really any business should be able to have potential.
Yes.
Obviously, it's B2B more in LinkedIn, meaning business to business, but it doesn't mean that there's not opportunities no matter what you do.
Absolutely.
But that part's easy.
Okay.
Creating just networking of people that like you. That part should be simple and a no-brainer.
So should that be their first step, like when they first get onto LinkedIn? Okay.
Yeah, because it's going to get you to just get a feel for like what people are talking about, what people are passionate about, what people are that they actually want to connect with. What are they doing on LinkedIn? Because anyone that's doing things unbelievably well is probably doing things really well on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Because that's a huge business part. Then when you take it to the next level, and you can start creating content for yourself, whether it be in written word, whether it be just random posts that have interaction, that have value to them, whether it be video content if you do video, whether it be podcast snippets. Starting to create content adds this additional layer and that's how I get all the business is I interact so that LinkedIn sees that I'm a normal person. And then I put out content. Now the two start to link, no pun intended, links together, LinkedIn. They start to interact that someone says, oh, I know Scott, we talk all the time. Now they see me talking on camera. They see me talking about something. They see a video produced. I rarely ever post like, oh, this was a great project that we worked on from a client. I just put out content myself based on things from vlogs or whatever. But what it starts to do is just get people to now put two and two together. They know me from just being a person. Now they're thinking he must do video, and oh, hey, it also says video content creator next to my name. But yet I've never once told them I do the service. So I have never once annoyed them with sales.
Right.
But what happens is when they eventually need video, or whether the marketing person, they come at their next meeting at their thing and someone's like, hey, we really need to start doing video. And they're thinking to themselves, who do I know that does video? I keep seeing this one dude on LinkedIn always like post videos. I assume he does video. That's the game.
Yeah.
It's just showing up enough that when they think of your service, you win. Now, I've landed business on LinkedIn that I connected with people for a year. And
before you had anything. Yeah.
That's the problem. But the reason if you're patient, that it's so effective is because no one does it. Nobody does it.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to sell all the time on LinkedIn. And when you don't, people love you.
Okay.
So it really is that simple. You just have to have patience.
Okay. So it's a long-term game. And you need to be patient, provide content that's valuable, and just be a person.
Yep.
And connect.
And valuable insight. I want to say, like, don't go and spam every single person's post, everything with a comment about, like, add value to the conversation. If you can't add value to the conversation, don't join it.
Yeah.
But think about what that looks like. And the whole point is the value is not the sell. That's where I think people overthink it too, so they don't post. You just because you're in a business mindset and you're kind of in there maybe for business, realizing that everyone in there is also just humans, and they would love to see the 1% of people that actually are just kind and friendly.
Yeah.
And then start to interact. And then what's really cool is because they show you first and second and third connections, if you are really, really close friends with someone that's your first connection or someone you've built connection with, and then you see that they commented on something, so LinkedIn shows you your second connection, interact with that person's comment, because you start to, by association, if there's one person that interacts nonstop with you and now you're kind of friends, and I come up next to my friend who you know but I don't know you, and I'm like, hey Josh, yeah, I totally agree, and you're like, oh, you know Scott? Cool, Scott, this is Josh, good to meet you. I'm using Josh because Josh is a good friend of ours that is great on LinkedIn as well. It starts to buddy up. You know how it is that if you're talking to someone you love that's a good friend of yours and they introduce someone to you, instantly that person has this credibility that you're like, if you are friends with this person, they've got to be at least okay.
Yeah.
So it's a great way to kind of sneak into building a relationship with someone, is showing up alongside of a comment if you're not even comfortable with creating your own.
Yeah. It almost makes me think of when I first started I joined a studio, Bar 3, and one of my things was I didn't even want people to know I was in Mary Kay. Like I just wanted to connect with people like very naturally, very organically. And I didn't say anything to people for like months. And then all of a sudden people, just because you built a relationship with them and like, oh, what do you do? And then just it allowed it to be so organic, and they knew me as me first. And so I think this is just the online version of that, is making sure that people know who you are outside of what you do. So that way there's trust there. Because if there's trust and there's a relationship, I'm way more likely to work with you
100%.
Or buy something from you. So,
or the rare case that you eventually want to sell something to somebody, is it easier to sell to someone that you already know? Of course.
Yes.
Like if we've built a great friendship over 6 months on LinkedIn or 12 months, and this is what has happened to me before, where I've built a relationship with that, never selling anything. And then an opportunity came up where maybe they posted something like that indicated to me, hey, you know what? I can help them with this.
Yes.
It's not hard for me to reach out and be like, hey, Josh, just wanted to reach out to you. You know, I noticed that you were looking for some help. We'd love to help you through that. Because at that point, they're also not like, who is this guy? They're like, oh, cool. Yeah, let's talk.
Walls aren't up.
Yeah. So it just becomes so effective for so many of those reasons. And realistically, that's the way to grow on any social media platform.
Yeah.
The difference is LinkedIn just opens up this golden opportunity because you get to see what people do. So you're not guessing whether or not they're actually the person that makes the decision in the first place.
Yeah.
Because it says that they're the market, like the director for it.
Right. What do you think are a few reasons why a company should be really active on this platform right now?
Well, a big reason right now, the reason I say I think it's going to blow up like crazy, is it is finally starting to click with people just how powerful it is. And so right now, the reason it's incredible is because the organic reach on LinkedIn is what like Facebook and Instagram and all them were 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
Meaning right now, when you produce content or when you talk about things, like people see it for free. And a lot of it, and they really push content, video content, and because a lot of people aren't doing it. So right now it's so great because right now, just like Facebook and that used to be, it's free to get a lot of reach. That doesn't last forever.
Right.
It eventually changes because they can't make it free anymore for the same reach, and then they start to charge for things like all the other companies do.
Right.
But get on it now, start to learn it, and start to do it, because eventually the paid will become more important. But then if you already have a leg up, you already know like what worked organically, and the paid becomes more effective because their paid platform is a little bit unique right now. So I'm all just about getting on it now and starting to learn it and understand, because it will, and it is starting to get extremely popular because everyone that is using it is realizing when done right, it is the only place for B2B to actually get business.
Yeah, and it's like you don't have to go. Sometimes I used to think of networking as having to go to physical networking events, and that's extra time outside of the work place. You know, it's just a lot, and travel and all that kind of stuff. So it's just such a smart use of your time to be able to fully utilize it. And like you said, right now with organic reach being so high, this is such a good time to start doing it. Now, if the organic reach is really high, should companies spend money right now on ad space or not yet?
It's hard to say. I think from a recruitment standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to spend money right now on LinkedIn for paid job reach. It's hard to say because it really depends on obviously your budget of whether you should actually put your money there. Because I think they are charging a little bit more than they should right now for it because they don't really have much experience selling. Like I think they've sold ad space for a while, but it hasn't been, I don't think, unbelievably effective for people. So I don't think it's a bad idea, but I think a better idea is to just learn it and network like crazy and then figure out the strategic areas where you want to actually put money into it, because it definitely works. But like we don't post that much content from like the Scaling Creative company page on there. I'll share things to my personal profile, but it's not like other platforms where you kind of are hoping people follow your page and that's like the place where you're going to actually get them to capitalize and stuff. It's really not. The personal side of it is really where the magic happens. So I don't think it's a terrible idea, but I think that it's going to go down in price before it actually goes back up, because once they start to realize how they want to do it. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But right now, the organic reach is so good that it just makes sense. You can have success without necessarily spending money yet.
So as either a newer company on LinkedIn or personal brand, whatever it might be, do you think that they should be following people who are doing it well and just kind of observing to learn? Or should they just start producing, or maybe both?
Yeah, I mean, both. I mean, if you want to, you should definitely follow people that are doing it well or people that you look up to in an industry for sure. But even that's hard to say because I don't think a lot of people are doing it well.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people
who's doing it well.
Following.
Can you say
I mean, Gary Vee always does it well.
Yeah.
Like just because he's so ahead of the curve with all that kind of stuff, he does it really, really well.
He talks a lot about it.
Yeah, he talks so much about it. And he produces, he has a big enough team that he can produce so much content just for it. But there's a lot of good keynote speakers and people that do some pretty good content on it. They're doing it more from a perspective that like you'd hire them for speaking. But I think you'll just being on there will instantly show you who's not doing it well, which is almost everybody. Because the amount of times that you get spam that you just laugh, you're just like, do you seriously think that I'm gonna pick up my phone and call you from the message you just sent me? Like it. So it's so easy to just see what's good.
So don't
you'll
do that.
See everything else that's bad. But it's hard to say who to follow because there's so many different industries that I'm probably not actively that a part of. And and what you'll start to see on LinkedIn as well is you'll start to see a lot of the same names all the time in certain industries. And that's because they're doing it pretty well and they're just in a lot of conversations. But I think you should just get in it and just explore, even if you just watch. But it's not hard to just jump in and start being open in conversations. Right. That's not hard.
What are some things on their profile page that they should definitely have? Like picture?
I think your picture should be like a good representation of yourself. Like I don't think it makes a ton of sense to have like a really old picture. A not professional picture of some sort. I don't think it has to be like an unbelievable like portrait headshot at all times. I think a lot of people have that, which is fine. I don't think you have to be in a suit. I think it has to just represent you. It should be you. But it should be you. Like it shouldn't be, I personally, it shouldn't be like a picture of your family. I think it should just be you. It's
probably
your
not
business
a picture
card.
of you at your wedding.
I just think, exactly. Like, people that post pictures, I'm like, I can barely tell it's you, or like a group of people. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Make it you. Don't make it your company logo. You have a company page for that. Make it your face. And that's a good start. But think about it just from a standpoint of kind of what you'd have represented on your business card. You're going to have your title. Your title is going to be there no matter what. But if you don't have a physical title, it should just maybe represent what you do. Meaning like my physical title is not like video content creator. But that makes sense from a standpoint of like what's linked to my name because that's essentially what we do. And just simply putting, first owner of Scaling Creative doesn't necessarily, people don't know that doesn't mean anything to anybody. So I'd rather them understand kind of what I do first. And then just it's good to, I mean, you could put obviously where you've worked, you can put your different skill sets and people can, what the heck do they call it?
It's like a resume.
Yeah, they can endorse your skills is what I was trying to think what the name was. They can endorse like your skills. It's kind of a weird way for people to just kind of give credibility to you. Over time, I think that's important too, but a lot of people just don't endorse people's skills because they forget about it. But I think it's just more about the content you create, honestly. Like once you have a good picture and your title, because the weird thing about LinkedIn is that it's terrible. Visiting someone's page is like a terrible experience. Like it's really hard to even see what they've posted. You have to go down to like their activity to see it's because it's really just not designed like other things. It's not designed to be like, oh, let's visit your profile.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
I don't and maybe they'll change that because
probably will. Because
people that are creating a lot of content, it becomes really hard to actually, it's like 7 clicks to get to what people have posted, which is weird. Because they right away favor more like where you work, what have you been doing. But that's important things to certain people. So they, do a little bit more research than I do in terms of that. And maybe they're seeing that makes more sense because it's kind of like the business card. you don't necessarily, you're kind of more interested in a B2B environment right now. What's this person do? Where do they work? Where did they work? What kind of skills do they have? And then, they're talking about a lot of stuff. I'll say that too. But the other good thing about that is I think that you don't have to also worry about whether or not you already even have used content. If you posted something a year ago or whatever, post it again.
Yeah.
Because people don't see it all, number one. But more importantly, it's hard to even see what people did. So half the time you don't even remember that someone posted it, even if they did. So it can be useful for that.
One thing that I kind of find helpful is if you're new to a platform like LinkedIn and it's just not necessarily part of your routine, is even just time blocking a little bit every day on your schedule and say like, okay, from this time to this time, I'm just going to be on LinkedIn, just connecting.
That's a
and
great
so
point.
That way you just have it on your calendar and then you can get into the habit because I think that's one of the hardest things. That was for me was just, I was forgetting about it, forgetting that I even had it. So, but it's such a powerful tool. I just really recommend companies or personal brands just do that. Put it into your calendar, get a reminder, and then you'll get into the habit of it. And so it's just like one little.
Yeah, social media, I think in general, if you're in the marketing fields, it should be a calendar thing. Because it is so important. Now, it should be a calendar thing that like you're doing useful things when you're there. Yes. But LinkedIn, especially if you're doing it correctly, it's not a waste of time at all. So makes 100% sense to do that, and it's better to do that and to use it at those times. Yeah. Also, just for the sake of not overusing it, if you're good with your calendar, because as good as it can be, if you have work to do, you have work to do. Yeah. So I think that there's tons of value in blocking things out, even if it's 10 minutes, 3 times a day, or whatever, or randomly, like when you have time. It's remembering it. And like I'm trying to produce more content on LinkedIn than ever before. So I'm trying to start setting reminders of even posting, because I do think LinkedIn's definitely favoring people that post early morning stuff because people are getting to work. They're logging on. Posting late at night on LinkedIn is obviously not going to get a lot of immediate attraction because but some people do.
I found that a lot of people were responding to either my requests or
at night.
At night.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing is I don't think that there's a science to it. Yeah. But I find that a lot of people, well, number one, a lot of people just post early morning because it's kind of like the first thing they do when they get in. Yeah. A lot of people post right after lunch because once they get back to their desk, they kind of end up checking. And then some people post right before they leave work. So I don't think, and that's why I'm a fan of just put out a lot of content. Yeah. And try different things. And don't overthink everything, because there's also certain posts you can post at midnight, but they end up just doing well because they're good. Yeah. So but if you can, at the start, get on a schedule of just remind yourself to post something every day if you want for something, and figure out just like what value can you add to people. Yep. The post should have value to people. And on a platform like that, it's going to make more sense. Like with me, I really think about what content I create, whether it's pulling something from a vlog or something new. It really should make sense to that audience, just like any other platform. Right. Like you won't ever see me do really like tech review things or specific like talks about cameras on LinkedIn, because it's just not the environment that I'm trying to create. Right. You'll see me pull things from vlogs that are more about business or more about like entrepreneurship or more about sales or marketing, thinking strategically, just like you should on any platform, but especially LinkedIn, because if people give you the time of day for the video, it should bring value to what you're hoping that people see value at. And from my standpoint, even though video is my main thing, I don't need to talk about cameras. What I'm bringing value to is what I'm talking about, which in turn is, well, they're seeing lots of videos, meaning they're putting 2 and 2 together that clearly I have a team or I'm the one doing it. Right. So it's bringing that awareness. Right, right. But, and you can do that with anything. It just really depends.
There was something that you said the other day, we were talking about LinkedIn. Actually, I think it was in a previous podcast where you said, you almost think of yourself when you go onto LinkedIn like you're wearing a suit. And so when I think about think about your client when they're on whatever platform it is and what they want to consume while they're there. Yeah. Because what they're consuming on Instagram is very different than what they go on to consume for LinkedIn. So just thinking about that.
Yeah, and the analogy of the suit idea is like I never wear a suit, so it's not about that I wear a suit or that I need people to think that I'm wearing a suit, but the whole idea being that like there's more purpose when I go to LinkedIn. Like I don't go to LinkedIn to just I do browse, but everything I'm browsing, I'm looking for ways to interact and be a part of conversations. And I think that most people do. Most people go to their other social media for fun, and they go to LinkedIn because they're actually allowed to at work.
Yeah. Yes.
So if they're in a position that they're allowed to be on there because it's good, well, show up there in what you're doing, because it is the rare platform that I think businesses are more and more open to be like, hey, you're on LinkedIn. Great. Because I know that you can't have that much fun on it. But it is fun from a sales perspective. It's just the difference is people don't post as much like random family stuff, but that's actually why it's more valuable, because it's much more about like a lot of people write articles and they share things and they share blogs that they like and different pieces, because that's the big piece. I was talking earlier, obviously we do video. That's a big piece of what I'm obviously going to create, but it makes a ton of sense if written word is your thing. LinkedIn articles is a great place to do that kind of stuff, because people also like to read and they will share those things. They will really interact with them.
Yeah, I think that's very true. They're way more likely to read something longer on LinkedIn than
100%. Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's a lot of people that will just essentially blog in posts each day, like not even in an article, just because it's something a lot of people do.
Yep.
And you can get away with it. Where like Instagram and that aren't really catered to long form content like that.
Yeah.
But there's some people that are great at writing. If you are terrible at recording video or you don't want to be on podcasts, write. There's still tons of value in showing that. So utilize what you're good at. And then if you want to create video, either get used to doing it or hire people that obviously can help you create it. But do what you do well.
Yeah, I was just going to say live in your sweet spot and then delegate your weaknesses.
Yeah, totally. You know? I hate the idea of improving weaknesses. I feel like it's a waste of time. I feel like people should just go all in on what they're good at.
And delegate
like
the other
why
stuff.
why waste time improving what you suck at? Like I think it just makes sense to go all in on what you're actually good at.
Yeah.
It's like Michael Jordan, he didn't need to play baseball and he was terrible at it. He should have just stayed with basketball. You know what I mean? Like he was amazing at basketball.
Yeah.
But he decided he should try to do baseball. He was no good at baseball.
Yeah.
He's best basketball player ever. Well, not debatable, but best basketball player ever. And like he spent a lot of time playing basketball. I just think, it's another whole topic, but I just think that people should just do what's natural to them. If you see someone producing amazing content video-wise, but that's just not you and you hate being on camera, don't do it.
Right.
You're going to come across really bad on camera.
Yeah.
Just hide behind a keyboard and use that as your skill set and do great stuff.
Yes.
You can make good money with written stuff.
All about that. Any other things you want to mention about LinkedIn?
No, I just think it's a platform. If you're in B2B and you have employees that are sales or they're whatever, it's a platform you really should pay attention to and get on it, because it is great right now for it. It's only going to get better, but then it's eventually going to have its own unique things like they do now with LinkedIn, with Facebook and all those of algorithms changing. And right now they're showing people a lot of stuff. So it's good to get on it now before you miss it. It's going to get more popular, no doubt about it. There's going to be all different new avenues. They're just finally now launching LinkedIn Live, and they're allowing just certain people to even be a part of the beta of it. So there's going to be so many opportunities that when you look at LinkedIn Live from a perspective of a year from now, you always want to be the keynote speaker in front of your target audience. You're going to get that opportunity
right now.
You get it to do it right now in content, and then eventually when you become LinkedIn Live and that becomes thing and you've already built brand, now you get to have a keynote once a day on LinkedIn Live. You're in front of everyone you want to be in front of for free. And it's just something, don't not use LinkedIn because you just prefer to use Instagram or Facebook and all that. If you actually are the person in B2B sales, the owner, marketing person, someone that is somewhat linked in that, spend time there and understand how to do it well, because it is so beneficial. But just do it right. Most people don't. It's an easy way to stick out.
All right, cool. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that as much as I did.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I learned a lot just even in this conversation. So we have a couple podcasts before this. So if you want to hop on and listen, we talked about Instagram, we talked about Facebook, we talked about social media in general. Right? That's all we did so far?
Yep, so far.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So
it can get overwhelming, but I think that's why it's important to kind of break these down to get a feel for who should be on it. Because not everyone needs to be on LinkedIn if you're not selling. If you're selling direct to consumer, it might not make sense. Yeah. But it's important that if you should be on a platform, we're trying to help understand a little bit more about how we see them. And there's a reason why it's only 2 of us. Like, I don't think that if you're a person watching this and you have 100 employees, that you think tomorrow you should make sure that they all go on LinkedIn and they start becoming heavy users. Because here's the thing, they're not going to like it. And if they're not in the position that they're out supposed to be getting you more work, let them do what they're good at, which might not be spending time on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. So anyway.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Feel free to comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And we would really love to hear from you. What did you think about today's episode? Yes. And feel free to, as we continue doing the podcast, we would love to hear from you on topics that you would love to learn about, because this is really all about you and providing value and content that will help you further your business. So we really want to hear from you.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.